Buongiorno, and welcome to another exciting edition of Meet Your Neighbor. My name is Ron Falconi. I live in the Fairways subdivision here in the city of Brunswick with my wife and my 2 kids. As you know, Brunswick has been named as one of the top 10 towns in America for families, according to Family Circle magazine. We are here, as I mentioned, I live in the Fairways, and we are honored today to have the newly elected president of the Fairways Homeowners Association, and her name is Yvonne Biller. Yvonne, welcome to the studios.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
Wonderful. How about yourself?
Good. Yvonne, as I mentioned, you're the new president. How did you get involved with the Fairways organization?
Well, last year my husband and I were on vacation in Hilton Head Island visiting some friends, and we got a phone call, and it was from the former president and the former vice president, saying that the annual meeting was coming up and they were wondering if I would like to fill a position that was open on the board. And I had talked to my husband since we had lived in the Fairways about joining the board, but decided that it wasn't either the right time or I wasn't ready to do something or commit my time or whatnot. So whenever they asked me, I thought, maybe this is a sign. I'm jumping in, I'm getting my feet wet, and that's how I ended up being there.
Oh, that's good. Yvonne, what are some of the kinds of things you want to do as president?
I think as president, there are a couple things I would like to suggest to the board, because I think, as you're probably well aware, and just to let other people know, there are 9 members on our board.
Okay, there's 9.
I would, myself included, I make up part of that 9, but I would like to suggest a couple of things to them, but everything passes as a board. It's not that I as president can say, okay, I'm doing this, but everybody has to have their yeas and their nays involved in it.
Sure.
So a couple of the things that I would like to suggest or continue to do that's already being done is, one is to ensure that we offer a quality development for a fair price. And
Absolutely.
If I can expand on that a little bit, I'll use the example that we have a pool in the development. And I know that especially with the economy and the decline that it is right now, there are probably a lot of families, well, throughout the area, but specifically within the development, that may not be taking family vacations this year. So I want to make sure that that is maintained, it's up and running, that we have no problems with that, because a lot of people will be using that as their little getaway, maybe, during the days or whatever.
Sure.
And the same thing, we offer the annual 4th of July parade. We started last year a Halloween party that we'll be doing again this year.
Yes.
And we offer a golf outing for the gentlemen to go out and enjoy themselves a little bit at a low cost too. So.
That's really good. Yvonne, how long is your term?
My term is about 3 years, but you can basically, for lack of a better word, mix and match different positions.
Oh, okay.
So I started off as treasurer and served there for a year, and I'm hoping that I have 2 years remaining, and I'm hoping that those 2 years could be served as the president.
Okay. What issues do you see as being important for the Fairways right now?
Probably a couple of different issues that I would like to address. First, for our residents within the Fairways community, as well as anybody within the Brunswick or Medina County area, is to promote our businesses locally. And whether that be through shopping or entertainment or eating out or just, community events or whatnot. Again, hate always going back to the economic decline, but I think when you look at the picture as a whole, if your community is doing well, your businesses are doing well, you feel more safe and secure, and your businesses feel safe and secure from that standpoint. One of the other things that I would like to do is be just a little more proactive. Again, from an economic decline standpoint, we've always lived, the development has always been a very safe and secure development from, any kind of unusual happenings. But I would like to try and be a little proactive and organize maybe a neighborhood watch program. I think because mainly when you watch the news now, and it's not just Brunswick, it's not Cleveland, it's not even Ohio, I think that it is countrywide, probably more worldwide, but crime's starting to increase because people are losing their jobs and they're trying to find ways to survive and whatnot. So not that I'm saying it would ever affect the development or even Brunswick itself, but maybe just being a little proactive and trying to take a little precaution would.
Absolutely.
And one other thing that I think that would be an issue for specifically the Fairways homeowners is myself and another gentleman that sits on the board now, last year had started a program where it's kind of an outreach program that is within the development. And it's for families in need. But when I say in need, I don't necessarily mean it has to be a bad thing, but it could be somebody that had a birth of a child, or somebody that, you know, is potentially getting married and, you know, their house is too small to hold, you know, whatever the case is, or maybe lend tables or chairs or whatever. But we're trying to organize that. We actually had a successful event for a gentleman in August of this past year where the community came together, and whether through the monetary donations, through food donations, through, you know, just prayers or whatnot, we've been very blessed with that giving us a positive start, but we would like to continue to do that. So.
That's good. And Yvonne, you mentioned how long have you lived in the development now?
Almost 4 years now.
4 years. Okay. Are you originally from the Brunswick area?
No, actually, I'm from a really small town in
where?
central western Pennsylvania. It's called Ebensburg, Pennsylvania, and it's about an hour east of Pittsburgh.
Okay, hour east of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, near Johnstown, Altoona. So
okay.
If anybody out there has ever heard of the Johnstown flood, then that's where I'm from. You know, not involved in it, but you know.
My wife and I originally lived. We lived in Pennsylvania for 3 years.
Oh, really? Where at?
In Du Bois.
Oh, so you weren't that far. Actually, we played them in football when I was in high school. So you know. So yeah, I know right where you're at. So.
Yvonne, what is your educational background?
I had started college, but due to some personal/family issues at home, I thought it best if I withdrew from college and tried to take care of a younger sister, and you know, tried to take care of some situations and stuff like that. So hopefully I get to go back and obtain my degree in the near future, something I've always, you know, transpired and wanted to work towards. So.
That's good. Yvonne, you said you're married. What's the name of your spouse again?
My husband's name is Tom.
Okay.
And we have been married for, well, almost 13 years.
Oh, wow.
And he's kind of like my high school crush, basically, is what he's like. So we kind of admired each other from afar. And ironically enough, at the time, we didn't run in the same circle of friends, so we were never introduced. And it took us being in our early 20s where we ended up having mutual friends that introduced us. And, well, we dated, and then it just progressed from there, and here we are now. So.
Do you guys have any kids?
We do. We have 2 beautiful children.
Wonderful.
We have our son, Alec, who is 11. And is truly all boy, loves sports, any kind of sports, loves just being a boy. Has been a wonderful child from the time he was born, easygoing, laid back, and just happy with life.
That's good.
And when he was 7, we decided, God gave us him by birth, and so we decided that there were not going to be any more that were coming by birth, and we ended up adopting our daughter, Amelia.
Oh, wow.
And she was 3 months old when she came home from Guatemala. And she's our little Spitfire princess who has that tomboy twist to her. So, you know, she always says that when she grows up, she wants to be a princess in a hiccup truck, which means pickup truck. So we've been very blessed with both of our children. We love them dearly. So,
Yvonne, what line of work are you in?
Actually, I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
And I'll give you a couple reasons why I enjoy that.
Okay.
I have always gotten to see my kids grow and have been able to give them the structure and the respect and the need that all children need. And I'm not opposed to children being raised in a daycare. In fact, Alec, I got to be a stay-at-home mom with him until he was 5.
Okay.
Once he started kindergarten, I actually went to work and was hired by a high school in the town where we lived. And I worked in the guidance office there where I helped the high school kids apply to colleges or helped them with schedules.
That's nice.
Absolutely loved working with that group of kids. It was phenomenal, but it also gave me that out of I'm not just mom anymore, but at the same time, I knew that my son was in school and he was in a safe area and you know, he was ready to move on with his life a little bit too. Then when we adopted our daughter, it was the same thing. We ended up moving out here to the Cleveland area and specifically Brunswick. And I talked to my husband, and I think we'd rather sacrifice a little bit and have me be able to stay at home and raise the kids than, you know, be out there working. So that was a choice we made. Tough decision, to me worth it.
I know it's one of the toughest jobs ever. You stay at home.
It certainly is. You never quit. It doesn't stop. So.
Yvonne, you have one of the toughest jobs ever. You're also the newly elected president of the Fairways Homeowners Association. What do you like to do for fun?
Well, there are a lot of things I like to do for fun. Finding the time to do them, that's a little more difficult. But I can tell you I really enjoy my family time.
Okay.
Part of the family time that we do is we camp in the summertime. And I think that that's probably one of my favorite things to do, just because you're away from telephone, you're away from the
Sure.
internet, you're away from the hubbub of, the everyday activities. When you're camping, it's one of those where there's peace and quiet, you play games, you talk as a family, no hidden agendas, and I enjoy that. And then I think on a personal level, I enjoy reading a lot. I crochet, and I make salsa. I know that sounds silly. I'll bring that up only because friends love my salsa dearly. And so they, anytime we're invited to an event or a gathering or anything, they always say, I'll say, what can I bring? And I know it's so easy for me because it's the same answer every time, bring the salsa. And then I think probably from a community standpoint, in addition to being the president of the Fairways, I help out with different organizations, nothing in particular, and I don't overdo my time or anything, but as far as helping to organize things or help out where needed or something, I like to volunteer for stuff like that.
That's wonderful. Yvonne, for every guest that I have on my show, I always like to play a game of fill in the blank.
Okay.
When I was a child, I blank.
When I was a child, I spent a lot of time on my grandparents' farm. And
in Pennsylvania?
Yes, in Pennsylvania. And that's probably predominantly where most of my memories are at, because they had an apple orchard. And so in the fall, my dad came from a big family, and it was his parents' farm. And in the fall, we would always go to the apple orchard, and all the kids got to climb the trees and toss the apples down to the grandparents, to the aunts, the uncles, the parents, whatnot. It was always so much fun. And I spent a lot of time with my grandfather feeding the chickens, feeding the cats, the cows, etc., and with my grandma picking blueberries or cherries or whatnot. And so really just a memorable time of freedom and just enjoying being a child. So yeah.
What about the person or persons I admire most are?
Well, my husband would probably be very offended if I didn't mention him. However, I would only mention him if it were true, and I would say that he is one of the people that I admire. He's a calm person. Again, like my son, very laid back. He's just very intelligent, very hardworking, very giving, and he balances me out in a very huge way and helps keep my life a little stress-free. And then probably there's a couple that I have been friends with for almost 20 years now, and I admire them, and they know this very much. Their names are Lynn and Barry Moss, and they are 16 years older than I am, but they have shown me what a marriage should really be about. So any questions, whether it be from a positive standpoint or a negative standpoint, I'm the newbie married to them. And so, I can always call them up and say, I was thinking, whatever. And the advice they offer is always good advice. They have a child that they raised. She's now, I believe, 24, 25 years old. And again, just as good as, the marriage they were at parenting. And so again, a lot of times if I call for advice, I know that I'm always getting the sound advice. And from a friendship standpoint, I couldn't be more blessed.
That is wonderful.
So there are people that I admire a lot.
Well, Yvonne, now at the other end, when I retire, I blank.
When I retire, I don't know, do moms ever retire?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. So maybe what I would say to that is when my children are grown and out of the house, which I'm not rushing by any means because I enjoy having them thoroughly. But probably one of the things I'll look most forward to is dating my husband again.
Oh.
I think.
I just,
true. The kids will be gone and we'll have that quiet time and get to date again. So I'll enjoy that. So.
Yvonne, do you have any neighborly advice for our viewers out there who are watching in Brunswick, Brunswick Hills, or maybe people watching on the internet right now?
That's a tough question. I would probably have to say that I have a lot of advice to offer. My husband could tell you that I'm good at that. But if I had to pick probably the most important bit of advice I'd like to offer to anyone, I think it would be for people to stay focused and positive, especially given the world condition the way it is today. Yes. And again, if I can give an example on that, you're driving down the street, somebody cuts you off, and the first thing you want to do is just give them a dirty look and beep your horn at them. But I think that today everybody is so caught up in the rush of life and, get here, do this, do that they don't expand to the big picture and see that, whether it is your neighbors within your community, whether it's people that are in a different city, just anywhere, whether you're shopping at the mall, whatever the case is, that to extend a kindness instead of a negative attitude to begin with.
Sure.
And I've always said that for every negative thing that could happen to anybody out there, you can always find at least 2 positives to offset that negative. I got to practice my own advice. I can't say I'm always perfect at that, but I just, if we all started being more positive to people instead of negative, I just think that that could turn about and just expand into something terrific, and who knows how far it could be carried. So I guess just, be positive to one another.
That's really good advice.
Well, thanks.
Yvonne Biller, President of the Fairways Homeowners Association, thank you for coming down to the studio today.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
All right. Well, my name is Ron Falconi. I am the host of Meet Your Neighbor, and I just wanted to thank Yvonne for coming down to the studios today and talking to us about the Fairways and about herself. Well, my advice to you is to go out there and meet your neighbor. My name is Ron Falconi. Arrivederci.